Hi there, welcome back to Loputra YouTube channel. This is Nuha Sainuddin and today we'll be discussing about the powers of the president. Before moving on to our topic, we'll give an introduction about the president, a few points about president. President is the head of Union Executive. Article 52 creates the position of president. The president under Indian Constitution, president enjoys a special position, and this position is created under Article 52. The President of India is the head of the state of Republic of India, and he is considered above all party politics and is not considered to be a part of any political party. Then the president is the first citizen of the country and the formal head of the executive, legislature and judiciary of India. And he is also the commander-in-chief of the Indian Armed Forces, and he represents the sovereignty of a country. The president is elected by the elected representatives of the people. So this is a short introduction about president. Now we'll move on to our topic, that is the powers of president. So that's all for the introduction. Now we'll move on to our topic, that is the powers of the president. Even though the Prime Minister is the head of the government, a vast number of powers are enumerated to the President by the Parliament, by the Constitution. Then these powers are executive powers, legislative powers, financial powers, judiciary powers, military powers, then diplomatic powers and emergency powers. The first one is executive powers. The Article 53 states that the president declares the president to be the chief of the state. The subclause 1 states that the executive power of the union shall be vested in the hands of the president, and he can exercise these powers either directly by him or the officers subordinate to him in accordance with his constitution. The Constitution vests the supreme executive authority in the hands of the Union. The Constitution vests the supreme executive authority of the Union in the hands of the President. That is, he can exercise these powers either by himself or any officers in subordinate to him. Then Article 77. It states that all executive actions of the government are taken under the name of the president. Then he holds a supreme command over the Indian armed forces, defense forces, and has the power to declare war or conclude peace. Then under Article 78, the president has the right to seek information from the union and from the center and the state. Then the president appoints the prime minister, and then the president appoints the other members of the council of members, distributing portfolios to them on the advice of the prime minister. Then under Article 310, every officer of the government occupies his or her position during the pleasure of the president. Then it is the president of India by whom both the houses of the parliament are summoned. That is, both the houses of the parliament is the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and it is the president who summons both these houses. And in case of deadlock, he can convene the joint sitting of both houses of the parliament. Then the president nominates 12 members of Rajya Sabha and 2 members of Lok Sabha. And this is how the 12 members of Rajya Sabha are elected. That is, these people are either having extraordinary accomplishment amongst the other persons who have special knowledge or practical experience in respect of such matters like literature, science, art, and social work, And social work. And now the two members of Lok Sabha are nominated from the Anglo-Indian community. Then the president is responsible for making a wide variety of appointments. There is the governor of state, the chief justice of India, and the judges of Supreme Court and the High Court of India. Then chief minister of the National Capital Territory, that is Delhi, and it is under Article 399. I mean 239. I'm sorry, under Article 239, the chief minister of the capital or territory of India is appointed by the president. Okay, then the attorney general, the comptroller and auditor general, the chief election commissioner and other commissioners, election commissioners, and so on. Then besides all these appointments, he has the power to appoint besides all these powers, he has the power to appoint the interstate commission, finance commission, election commission, etc. So that's about the executive powers. Now we'll move on to our legislative part. According to the constitution, the president is the integral part of the parliament, and he has many powers in relation to the parliament. The president is the one who inaugurates the parliament after every general election, and also at the beginning of the first session of each year. The president's address in this occasion is mainly meant to give an outline about the new policies of the government, and this power is mentioned under Article 87 of the Indian Constitution. Then he can dissolve the House of People. He can summon both the houses. He can summon either house of the parliament or both the houses jointly. Then he can send message to either house of the parliament, either with respect to a bill pending in the parliament or otherwise. And this comes under Article 86 clause 2. Then the president decides questions as to the disqualification of member, and this comes under Article 103. Then he can cause a certain certain reports and statements to be laid down before the parliament. Then he recommends the introduction of certain bills. Then no bill for a bill to become a law, we need to have the assent of the president. That is under Article 114. No bill can become a law unless and until assented by the president. All bills passed by the parliament can become law only after receiving the assent of the president. After a bill is presented to him, the president shall declare either that he assents to the bill, or that he withholds his assent from it. And as a third option, he can return a bill to the parliament if it is not a money bill or a constitutional amendment bill for the reconsideration. Now, the president may withhold his assent or return the bill to the House for reconsideration. It is not a money bill. That is what we said just before. Then he has the power to promulgate ordinances under Article 123. Then a president ordinance has the same force and effect as an act of parliament. That is, however, every such ordinance should be laid before the House of the Parliament within 6 weeks from the reassembly of the Parliament. So that's all for the that's all what we have discussed about the legislative powers of the president. Moving on to our next power, that is the financial power of the president. No money bill can be introduced in the House of the People without the previous sanction of the President. All money bills are originated from the House of People, that is the Lok Sabha, and this is mentioned under Article 109. Then the President shall cause to be laid before the Parliament the annual budget and supplementary budgets for its approval. It comes under Article 112. Then he causes to be laid down before the Parliament the annual finance statement called the budget before the beginning of every financial year. Then withdrawal from the contingency fund of contingency fund of India is done after the permission of the President. Then the President appoints the Finance Commission. Then he determines the share, income or tax receipts between the union and the states. So these are the financial powers of the President. Our next topic is judicial power or the pardoning power. The President has the power to grant pardon or reprise and suspend, remit or commute sentences of person convicted by the court martial, and in all cases which the sentence of death has been passed. As mentioned in Article 72 of the Indian Constitution, the President is empowered with the powers to grant pardons for the following situations. The first one is the punishment is for offence against the union law. The second one is the punishment is by a military court. Then the third sentence is that of death. To pardon means to forgive a person for his offence. It is just an act of grace and cannot be claimed or demanded as a matter of right. And this pardoning power of President is independent of the opinion of the Prime Minister or the Lok Sabha majority. Then the advisory jurisdiction under 143 also comes under the judicial power of the President. Then the President enjoys a certain privileges in respect to criminal or civil proceedings against him. No criminal proceedings can be started against him during his term in office, and civil proceedings can be initiated only after he has been served with a 2 months written notice. So this is what we have to discuss under judicial or pardoning power of the President. So our next topic is, next power is military power. The supreme command of the defense forces is vested in the President of India, but the Constitution expressly laid down that the exercise of this power shall be regulated by law. This means that even though the President may have power to take action, that is to declare war or to conclude in peace or employment of the defense forces, it is competent of the Parliament to regulate or control the exercise of such powers. Then comes the diplomatic power. Like the head of the other states, the President of India represents India in international affairs and has the power to appoint Indian representatives to other countries and receive diplomatic representatives of other states also. Then comes the emergency power. In addition to the power enumerated above, the President of India and who enjoys a wars emergency pass. Article 352 to 360 deals with the emergency provisions of the President. The Constitution visualizes three kinds of emergencies. The first one is emergency arising out of threat or to the security of India or any part of it by war, external aggression or internal disturbances. That is war from other countries or any terrorist attack or any other internal disturbances. That is the first emergency. Then the second one is emergency arising out of the failure of constitutional machinery in any one of the state. Then comes the emergency caused by threat to the financial stability of India. It is the president who determines whether the emergency exists or not, and his judgment in this case cannot be questioned. It is the president has the complete power of on this emergency declarations. Then, if the president issues a declaration of national emergency caused by war or threat of war, he may suspend the autonomy of states and power and empower the parliament to make laws on all matters, including matters in the state list. Then extend the executive power of the union so as to give directions to any state regarding the matter in which the executive power of the union is to be exercised. Then suspend the fundamental rights, including the rights to constitutional remedies. Then the president can modify the provisions relating to the distribution of revenues between the state and the between the center and the state in order to secure adequate revenue for the government of India to meet situation created by emergency. So that's what we have to discuss in this section, that is the powers of president. There are 7 powers of president: the executive power, legislative power, legislative power, judiciary power, financial power, military power, diplomatic power, and emergency powers. So hope this is Nuha Sainuddin signing off, and I hope I'll be back soon with my new video. Take care. Thank you. Bye.